There can often be confusion with form and content. You see, even interpersonal relationships are still just form reflections of the deceived mind. No satisfactory resolution can ever be found in form because it is always fluctuating. What can be aligned with is a right-minded perspective on the content of your looking. Love or a call for love. There is nothing else. The Spirit clarifies that love is the content of your seeing with vision. Reflections of the deceived mind demonstrate what we believe and what we desire. Recognizing this allows us to complete our true forgiveness lessons, which is a shift in identity. The body identity is not about flesh and bone, though it is very compelling. It is actually about the entire self-concept. Why else would we feel such visceral pain and anguish at the unfairness of being snubbed by those we claim to love? Or experience mistreatment when ignored by those we claim to hate? It is said this frustration can literally make the blood boil. Understanding that the body identity is more like the body politic, an all-inclusive term for the identity we believe ourselves to be, then we can understand where emotional hurt and fear of harm really come from. They come from the deceived mind. Forgiveness, or correction of perception, only occurs at the level of the mind. That is why we say all healing is in mind, because the mind was sick that thought the body could be, that thought the body could suffer. This body identification or self-concept envelops not just the character on the screen, but the greater self-concept and concerns of that character. Who they love, who they hate, what they care about, and myriads of opinions, hopes, and dreams for couples, communities, countries, continents, the entire cosmos. You can see it's entirely a mental construct, completely subjective based on the character I claim I perceive myself to be. But you are not that. So when the mind becomes focused on fixing interpersonal problems, it tends to lose the plot. These characters are so enthralling. It's like an endless soap opera. They are enduring because they never reach resolution. They are constantly morphing into more and more complexity and detail. It is our attention that generates this multiplicity, this Velcro experience of a million hooks and eyes that leave us blind and fascinated with the screen. When we are blinded by detail, we become resistant to the simple answer. So engrossed are we with the investigation and trying to solve the mysteries of the moment that we become oblivious to our one problem. We have a perceptual problem, singular. There are not multiple separate situations causing us distress. Pausing from fruitless finagling and fixing and stepping back for a moment from the body politic, the self-concept's investment, and the false responsibility for time and space, allows us to realize that the reflection is actually swirling without our seeming personal input. Once we notice that we are literally not involved and have no control over the world we made, the more we can become curious about who we are, the mind, and what we are actually looking upon, the reflection of deeply held beliefs and conflicting desires, both conscious and unconscious, in the mind. Sure seems real, but that's the trick of perception. You see, projection, as described in A Course in Miracles, is involuntary. It has nothing to do with the psychological term where people project onto each other. The thinker and the thoughts are one. So, in terms of awakening, projection is merely a reflection of a state of mind, and the deceived mind is a state of ever-changing perception. Our personal perspective then appears to concretize this shifting state in a feedback loop where we attribute reality to whatever we see. Think of it as a preoccupation. It's more like a hall mirror on the way out the door. If you catch your reflection, the The goal is not to change the reflection of the mirror, the projection. The invitation is to question how you are perceiving yourself. How are you perceiving your identity? Metaphysically, who cares what shadows show on the wall of Plato's cave? We must turn our attention to what is casting a shadow over our experience of self. Projection makes perception, and properly perceived is a mirror of the mind. Again, singular, the mind. A personal experience of mind is a perspective and a part of the mesmerism of projection. These thoughts, positive or negative, are not your personal thoughts. These are not your personal judgments. They all come from a singular doubt thought about your identity. This shadow that's cast upon you is the ego. This is all the deceived mind. It is split into right-mindedness and wrong-mindedness. It is dual, meaning a final singular choice for acceptance has not yet been made. We are stuck in resolution mode, trying to account for form fluctuations, to tally it up, to complete some equation that equals guilty or not guilty, right or wrong. This is all wrong-minded thinking, because it doesn't trace back beyond the split to guiltlessness. In order to move into a right-minded state and stabilize perception, we must become aware that what we have failed to do is to account for what is actually being projected or reflected on the screen of the world. That failure is our one singular mistake. And our job is not to make the perceptual error any more real by trying to fix it in form, but to accept the correction to our perception, which acknowledges we're merely looking at a projection of beliefs and desires in the mind. This is not a multiple choice question. It's actually really simple. So stay with me now, don't peel off. The one mistake we have made is a lack of recognition that all our problems have been solved. This acceptance of the atonement for ourselves sorts everything from the to-do pile of problems into the ta-dun pile of completion. This complete correction of perception also undoes the idea of persons entirely. The whole projection reads as peace. This is the holy instant, a shift in identity from guilty or not guilty, duality, to guiltlessness, a state which has no opposite. The feedback loop of egoic projection and perception dissipates, and we are free to accept the real alternative, the vision of the Holy Spirit. This decision, this choice for peace, places the mind before the mirror of eternity. This is forgiveness. This is why it is still and does nothing. Forgiveness does not involve persons at all.